This is GhanaNewspapers Newsroom. Live coverage. Real-time updates. Preserving Ghana's story. Empowering its digital future.
Hello viewers, I am Hannah. Welcome to the Ghana Newspapers Newsroom. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, click the bell icon to receive notifications for all our latest updates, and follow and like GH Newspapers on all our social media platforms. The concept of chief's consent occupies a central place in the colonial history of the Gold Coast, present-day Ghana. Throughout the 19th and early 20th centuries, colonial authorities frequently claimed that African chiefs willingly agreed to treaties, land concessions, and administrative reforms that facilitated British control. Newspapers, both colonial and African-run, played a decisive role in shaping how this consent was portrayed, interpreted, and contested. The framing of chiefs' consent in the media reveals how journalism functioned as a political instrument in legitimizing or challenging colonial power. Traditional authority before colonial rule. Before European colonial consolidation, chiefs in the Gold Coast wielded authority through complex political systems rooted in lineage, customary law, and community accountability. Among Akan states such as Asante and Fante, chiefs governed with the advice of councils of elders, and their legitimacy depended on public support. Consent in this context was not an individual decision, but a collective process. Major political agreements, including alliances and trade negotiations, required consultation within traditional governance structures. However, European colonial administrators often misunderstood or deliberately simplified these systems, treating chiefs as absolute rulers capable of unilaterally granting consent on behalf of their people. Early treaties and colonial narratives. One of the most significant examples of media framing occurred following the signing of the Bond of 1844. This agreement between British officials and several coastal chiefs established British judicial authority in parts of the Gold Coast. Colonial newspapers portrayed the bond as a voluntary request by chiefs seeking protection and legal reform. Reports emphasized the narrative that African leaders had willingly embraced British governance to end barbaric practices such as human sacrifice. In reality, historical evidence suggests a far more complex situation. Many chiefs faced economic pressures, military threats, and shifting trade dynamics that constrained their choices. Moreover, the extent of consultation within local communities varied significantly. Media framing strategies. Newspapers used several strategies to shape public perceptions of chiefs' consent. Personalization of authority. Colonial press reports often focused on individual chiefs rather than collective decision-making bodies. Moral justification narrative. Articles frequently framed chiefs' consent as a moral endorsement of colonial rule. Silence on coercion. Media reports rarely acknowledge the power imbalances underlying treaty negotiations. African newspapers and counterframing. By the late 19th century, African-owned newspapers began to challenge colonial narratives. Writers argued that chiefs' consent was often misrepresented, and that colonial authorities selectively interpreted agreements to expand control. They emphasized that many treaties were intended as limited partnerships rather than permanent transfers of sovereignty. The role of language and translation. Another crucial factor in media framing was language. Many treaties were drafted in English, while negotiations occurred in local languages through interpreters. Differences in translation often created misunderstandings about the scope and meaning of agreements. Long-term political consequences. The media framing of chiefs' consent had lasting implications for colonial governance and nationalist politics. By portraying chiefs as willing collaborators, colonial authorities justified indirect rule systems. Nationalist movements later revisited these narratives to challenge colonial legitimacy. Post-colonial reassessment. Following independence, historians critically reassessed colonial-era media narratives, highlighting the complex interplay of coercion, negotiation, and agency in treaty-making processes. Conclusion: media framing of African chiefs' consent illustrates how newspapers shaped historical narratives to serve competing political agendas, and demonstrates the enduring power of journalism in shaping political memory. Thank you for watching Ghana Newspapers Newsroom. Once again, I am Hannah. Do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, click the bell icon for notifications, and follow and like GH Newspapers across all our social media platforms. We'll return with more stories at 7 p.m. Thank you for watching and have a good day.
This is Ghana Newspapers Newsroom. Live coverage. Real-time updates. Preserving Ghana's story. Empowering its digital future.